It was a moonless night in the small inland town of Rio de Janeiro, on a dusty street called Rua do Mato Seco, where the wooden houses creaked in the wind and the silence was only broken by the distant sound of dogs barking. There lived Seu Valdemar, a solitary man who always returned late from working in the fields, carrying stories and memories of strange encounters with creatures from the woods. That night, Valdemar was sitting on the porch with a flickering oil lamp, drinking his strong coffee and listening to the wind roll dust against the window. What he did not know was that, in those same woods, something ancient and hungry had been disturbed. He had heard rumors at the town bar that something strange was prowling the plantations, shadows leaping, a cutting whistle in the air, and footprints with a hop pattern in the mud. No one knew exactly what it was, but old farmers remembered ancient stories of sacis even older and more dangerous than the folklore spoke of. Sacis that were not content with mischief, but devoured flesh in an attempt to restore their lost leg. Valdemar laughed at himself for believing such tales, until that night, when he heard a dragging sound, as if someone was moving with difficulty in the backyard, scratching the dry earth. He opened the window. The air was far too cold for that time of year. Then he saw something jumping in the darkness. It was not a simple whirlwind. It was a small, grotesque figure with a red cap stained with dirt, eyes that glowed like embers, and, most disturbing, two crippled legs, one of them bloodied, barely attached to its body. The being made a grotesque leap toward the house. His heart pounded. It was like a saci, but something profoundly altered, hungry and malevolent. Before Valdemar could scream, the creature hurled itself through the window with rapid, unbalanced movements, as if in desperation. Valdemar tried to pull the door, but it was already too late. The creature seized him with cold, bony hands, and in a brutal attack, tore off his right leg as though seeking to fit it onto its mutilated body. The world seemed to darken for a moment. Valdemar only heard the sound of biting and the crack of bone. The vampire Saci, as the rare legends whispered among the oldest in town, sought human parts in the hope of reclaiming its second leg, a forgotten curse that had turned it into something thirsty for blood and flesh. When the creature finally withdrew, Valdemar collapsed to the ground, powerless, the gush of blood covering the dust on the porch. And then, in a last breath, he saw the vampire Saci raise his severed leg, trying to fit it into the place of the limb that would never regenerate. Its red cap seemed to pulse in the dim light of the oil lamp, while the being whispered a guttural sound, half laughter, half lament, before disappearing into the night through the same woods from which it had come. No one on Rua do Mato Seco dared speak of it again. But they say that on moonless nights, you can still hear a sharp whistle mixed with a sound like nails scratching dry ground. A terrifying warning that something hungry and cursed still roams those lands.